Super Mario Bros., a game we've all heard about and most of us have played to varying degrees. The release of Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, and Family Computer System, Famicom, as it was known in Japan, was monumental in establishing Nintendo's dominance over the video game industry in that period, while also serving as a milestone between the arcade-style games of old and modern games with a clear objective. We all understand the success and perhaps the importance of this game, but not everyone knows the whole truth. Without Super Mario Bros., the video game industry would have failed and video games would not exist today. I'm George, and this is how Super Mario Bros. Saved gaming. The year is 1982. Ronald Reagan is president. The British are attempting to assert their claim over the Falkland Islands, and Michael Jackson has released the best-selling album of all time, Thriller. This isn't why we're here, though. In 1982, the video game industry was in a very different state than it is now in 2024. In 1982, Atari has dominion over all major players in the video game space, with their system, the Atari 2600. Recently renamed from the Atari VCS, and having released back in 1977, the 2600 was the hottest console on the block, and for many, the only console on the block. This was due to the costly nature of consoles at this time, the presence of more games than on any other platform, and the superiority of arcade cabinets at this time. Nobody wanted to buy multiple near $1,000 video game consoles when they were perfectly content playing Pac-Man, as supported by the fact that Pac-Man was the highest grossing arcade game for 3 years in a row. In addition, other new arcade cabinets would be released this year, namely Dig Dug, Pole Position, Mr. Do, Zaxxon, Q*bert, Time Pilot, and Pitfall. With Atari's dominance and the popularity of arcade cabinets, competitors such as Mattel's Intellivision, Magnavox's Odyssey 2, and Coleco's brand new ColecoVision simply couldn't keep up. With all this said, even Atari wouldn't be prepared for the chaos that would ensue the next year. 1983 was a catastrophic year for the video game industry. The Great Video Game Market Crash of 1983, as it has been coined, saw the value of the American video game market drop from $3 billion to just $100 million in a few short months. This unprecedented crash was caused by an oversaturation of new consoles and games in the market, several of which being poor quality riffs on pre-existing consoles and games, internal troubles with Atari, the unstoppable giant, and the rise of personal computers causing disinterest in video games. The situation was dire, and even Atari was now reporting profit losses. Many industry analysts, seeing the writing on the wall, would proclaim the end of console gaming, claiming it was a fad. This made a lot of sense for the time, considering that console gaming was brand new, with the release of the Magnavox Odyssey just 11 years prior, in 1972. However, in 2024, video games are everywhere and have long since surpassed the heights of 1982. How did this happen? How did the entire industry flip on its head again? Could one event or company be individually and solely responsible for such a dramatic shift? Yes, actually, they can. It was clear that the US would no longer be the leader of the video game industry. In Japan, video games were in a much better state than in the West. In 1983, a new company, whom really wasn't new at all, would debut their console in Japan only. Nintendo, having been originally founded in 1889, would now, nearly a century later, release their first video game console, the Famicom. Previously, Nintendo's work in video games included a pedigree of arcade games, the handheld Game & Watch called, well, the Game & Watch, and the Japan-only plug-and-play system, the Nintendo Color TV game. After seeing roaring success in Japan, despite the horrific situation in the West, Nintendo had conquered the hearts of Japanese gamers and would now attempt to break into a devastated Western market. 1985 saw the release of the Nintendo Entertainment System in North America. While the NES looks nothing like the Famicom, besides possibly the controller, I assure you, these two are the same piece of hardware. Why the drastic change? Well, Nintendo's genius strategy to capture the Western market was to not market their video game console as a video game console at all. This may seem ridiculous, but it's true. The NES had the name it had to differentiate itself from the now unpopular systems native to the Western market.
Will your family be the first to witness the birth of the incredible Nintendo Entertainment System? Will you be the first to get all this in one package? The Nintendo Entertainment System, where video technology is more than a game.
In calling the console an entertainment system, it wouldn't receive the negative stigma surrounding the now not-so-trendy at-home gaming. But it wasn't just the marketing. The NES also had another powerful weapon: Super Mario Bros. Plus Duck Hunt, a cartridge included with the system that contained 2 games. Also in the box were 2 peripherals, something Nintendo would become known for using: the NES Zapper and the NES R.O.B. R.O.B would only see uses in a few select NES games, but the Zapper was used for Duck Hunt, a game that literally everybody had with the system. While unique for the time, using the Zapper to shoot ducks out of the sky, most gamers with an NES were playing the other game on this cartridge, Super Mario Bros. Unlike many titles on other consoles before, Super Mario Bros. Offered a well-designed, replayable, and innovative experience. Super Mario Bros. Had a simple story, simple graphics, and simple ideas even, but it had such a fun loop that it would spawn an entire genre of video games, the 2D platformer. Mario, the beloved Italian plumber, formerly present in the Donkey Kong arcade games, Jumpman, before getting his own arcade game, Mario Bros., would become a household name and icon amongst gamers, children, adults, grandmothers, and aliens. Actually, I can't prove the last one, but it just goes to show the popularity of this character. Everybody has heard of Mario, and almost everybody has played one of his games, and it's all because of this single game that sparked its popularity. Super Mario Bros. Would be very popular in Japan and in the West, despite their sour stance on video games, catapulting Nintendo into the position of new ruler of the industry, even in the West, while also spawning the most recognizable video game character, series, and brand. Nintendo's new status of ruler of the industry and reopening of the minds of Western gamers was all thanks to the NES, which itself was mostly thanks to Mario. The West was now beginning to take home console games seriously again, and Nintendo would reap the benefits. Atari would eventually die off, but not without kicking and screaming through the 80s, 90s, and eventually the 2000s, having exited the console space. Nintendo also opened the doors to new competitors in the West. While Nintendo is now in a comfortable position, but not unchallenged ruler of the space, they wouldn't be where they are today without Super Mario Bros. With this, the video game industry as a whole also would have stayed in the 80s without Super Mario Bros. Even in 2024, Mario is the most iconic character in video games, having sold nearly 500 million copies of games worldwide, creating new genres that exist until today, paving the way for new competitors, and ushering in a period of Japanese dominance over the West in video games. Even now, Super Mario Bros. Is the 8th best-selling game of all time, having given nearly 40 years for everyone else to catch up. Super Mario Bros. Is also Nintendo's 3rd best-selling game of all time, behind only Wii Sports and Mario Kart 8. While it's fair to say these sales were bolstered by the inclusion of the game with the NES, the impact of Super Mario Bros. Is still clear. No matter your opinion on the original Super Mario Bros., the Mario series, or Nintendo as a whole, we can all, as players of video games, thank Nintendo and Mario for revitalizing the once dead console market in the West. Nintendo's brave battle and injecting of life into this previously rotting corpse of an industry has brought us to where we are today, where video games are the largest industry in entertainment. Thank you, Mario, and thank you, Nintendo. And thank you all too. With the year wrapping up, I really do need to thank you for all the support you guys have given to the channel this year. Make sure to subscribe while you're down in the description. This video took me a lot longer to make than most regular videos, and I'll have more videos of this style coming out, hopefully before the end of the year, and definitely into next year. Thank you again, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for playing my game.